And coming up over the next 90 minutes.
The clerk must be instructed forthwith to withdraw that letter and act according to law.
The declaration of the Pandai seat as vacant in Parliament leads to a major standoff in the House as minority MPs refuse to let the majority leader, Mahama Ayariga, speak on the floor. Meanwhile, outside Parliament, the NPP is not happy with the turn of events in Pandai.
Now they threatened a showdown. Now they have the audacity to argue our lawfully elected candidate should not sit in Parliament. This is not democracy. This is dictatorship masquerading as law.
Also coming up, think tank Imani Africa makes an RTI demand for information on the new SIM registration exercise. And later, ECOWAS declares state of emergency in the West Africa sub-region. We'll tell you what that means. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and many other stories on Eyewitness News. And in business,
businesses, households protest PURC 2026 tariff hikes as concerns mount over rising operating costs.
This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We start off from the House of Parliament, and there was a long standoff after the minority MPs refused to hear the majority leader, the Honorable Mahama Ayariga. It has to do with the situation in Pandai. I recall that yesterday we brought you a letter from the Clerk of Parliament addressed to the EC chair announcing that the Pandai seat had become vacant. Now, subsequent to that, Speaker Bagbin had a hell of a time trying to control the House and to ensure order. He has had to suspend sitting. In the foyer of Parliament, our own Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, Niaikwe Okai, is part of a group of journalists interviewing former Minister for Information and MP for Fasa Yiribi, Kojo Ponkruma. We are carrying that live on Channel 1 TV. I want us to just cross over and pick that now.
We add it to the already existent two-thirds majority to make it an overwhelming majority so that it can pursue a particular agenda.
In the James Jachikwesen period, clearly, that is the argument by some that you've already set the precedent, so you shouldn't be blaming what is coming or accusing people of what is happening now.
Well, so today, for example, we are not discussing the EC, but I'll explain to you what happened. In that particular case, the chair of the EC, Madam Charlotte, says the one who petitioned for the removal of her deputies, and they counter-petitioned against her. The result of those petitions is what led to her exit from office. More importantly, there was no pre-advertised agenda to get rid of her. There was no pre-advertised agenda to get rid of a Chief Justice. In this instance, before the NDC came to power, there was a pre-advertised agenda to get rid of the Chief Justice. And it's been covered with procedure, and the Chief Justice has been ousted. There's a pre-advertised agenda to get rid of the EC Commissioner and her deputies. It is being rolled out, petitions, and then they will say, oh, it's procedure. We are telling you, if you still don't believe it, that there's a pre-advertised agenda to ensure that there's an overwhelming majority in this chamber for the purposes of constitutional amendments. It is coming. And what we can do is to stand on our feet and to draw Mr. Speaker's attention that he should not buckle to any pressure that is being put on him to declare the seat vacant, because he has already made that ruling. No amount of pressure should be brought on him.
Finally, as a caucus, you have made your point clear through your minority chief whip that this particular letter should be withdrawn. Now, per practice, we know that once you make that submission, we should hear from the other side of the House. In this case, you are opposed to hearing from the majority. We do not know what exactly he's going to say. Why don't you just give him a fair hearing so that we know the way forward?
Procedure is being used to perpetrate injustice in this country. So what they are seeking to do is to cool down the temperature and normalize it with a long discussion and then tell us that we can go to court if we don't like it. We need to let people understand that this is a political chamber. And all the tools of the trade are available to us in this political chamber. Now, if injustice is being perpetrated of this nature, we will withdraw cooperation. So what we have done is to withdraw cooperation. And prior to this, we have been cooperating. Every single report that comes, we support. We are working towards appropriation on the 19th. There's no business that we haven't supported. We are minded to support the government business to go on. But now that they have elected to put a spanner in their own works by trying to use instruments of state to snatch this seat from us, we are left with no choice than to suspend cooperation. We have a lot of respect for Mr. Speaker. We wish we didn't have to do this, but they are leaving us with no choice than to withdraw cooperation. Look at how today businesses suffered. All of those who've done hours of research and want to contribute to national development and to discussion, they have to shelve all of that because they have elected, contrary to Mr. Speaker's ruling, they have elected to now put a spanner in the works. And my brother, if you push a man to the wall, you will see sides of him that are untidy. So it is in their hands, it is in their bosom to give that clear indication that that letter flying on social media does not even need to be withdrawn, and that indeed that letter or that letter is fake, doesn't have any grounding. No amount of procedural maneuvering that this is the procedure is going to change our mind. We have been clear. If you look at the energy from the backbenches, even when we are trying to tell them that, calm down, very clear that what is going to happen is that that assurance is required, else there will be no cooperation. It's unfortunate, but this is where we are.
But last from me, I've seen the member himself on social media indicate that he's confident of a victory after all of this. One would ask that if your side is this confident, why not just allow the process to go on for a rerun? Then you surely would win the seat back, if that's the case.
He's speaking in his personal capacity. I'm telling you the view of the caucus. You've seen up here in the gallery the acting national chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Chairman Bute, up here in the gallery. There's a clear party position, there's a clear caucus position. I hear the member of parliament express his personal view, but the position of the party, the position of the caucus supersedes that. The cooperation will not be extended for as long as Mr. Speaker has been pressurized to renege on his earlier ruling. That ruling sits with precedent. And as long as he's been pressurized, and we are afraid that he's now acquiescing to that pressure. Because what he told our leadership 2 days ago is not what we are seeing flying on social media. And there are efforts now to maneuver and say, let's go by procedure, let's hear from this side. It's unfortunate. But our caucus has been clear that cooperation will be withdrawn until that assurance is given that that letter is not genuine and that the Honorable Matthew Nyindam remains Member of Parliament for Pandai. Let the courts go through the process of determining. The political chamber should not be inserted to be an interlocutor in this matter and attempt to snatch that seat for the purposes of getting some numbers to advance some constitutional amendments. And that is why we've had to take this position.
Thank you so much. And so I have been engaging...
So you heard the Member of Parliament for Ofuasi Ayerebi, Kojo Oponkroma, also speaking on the issue that has been happening on the floor of Parliament. Ashaman MP is also with us, and we will engage him briefly on this issue. Honorable, today on the floor of Parliament, we haven't seen any major business take place because your colleagues on the other side are protesting the letter from the Office of the Clerk of Parliament to the EC declaring the Pandai seat vacant. Now, as a majority side of the House, how is this affecting proceedings?
Well, I think it's affecting proceedings and the government business, as you can all see. But it's just unfortunate that we are experiencing this at this particular time. Minority made a statement to that effect about the Pandai seat. Now, what is left for them to do is to listen to the majority side in silence, because they made application to the Speaker to that effect, and the majority will also have to reply. Now, they are unwilling to listen to the majority, and they are unwilling to repeat what they have said before even the main Speaker came to take the seat. And so that is unfortunate, but the fact still remains that, yes, the High Court declared the seat vacant. You have filed a stay of execution. Yes, we rightly admit. But until that stay of execution is heard, whatever decision is taken by the High Court still remains. And if you listen to Speaker's ruling, he said the man remains a Member of Parliament until 1st December. That was what he said. Today is 9th December. And now the clerk has issued a notice that they're declaring the seat vacant. I don't think it lies in the mouth of minority or majority to say otherwise. Be it as it may, if that is the case, you have made an application to the Right Honourable Speaker, listening to the side of the majority as well. The clerk cannot speak on the floor. So when you are posing questions to the clerk of Parliament, to Parliament, you don't expect him to speak on the floor because he doesn't have that locus to defend himself on the floor. He speaks through the leadership. So allow the majority leader to also come out with whatever he has to say. And you wouldn't budge. You will make an unnecessary noise. But we are saying that it's just unfortunate and it's unnecessary at this point in time.
But talking about the Speaker's ruling, I know that he had also mentioned that when you look at Rule 27(1) of the CI 19, which is he quoted, if the member exercises his right to appeal, there may be a further suspension, which is the case the minority is making, that so far as he has triggered the process for the appeal, why not wait for that determination on the appeal before we consider the original ruling of the court?
And don't forget that Supreme Court also ruled that until that decision or that application is heard at the Supreme Court. You know, in those days, you can even file an injunction. And as soon as you file an injunction, it takes effect. But as we speak now, until that injunction is heard or is granted, it can never take effect. And that is the Supreme Court decision. And so the law, we always say, is the law. The Supreme Court is saying that until the application is heard, the effect of it can never be tenable. Whatever the decision that has been taken at the High Court, it still remains. And so if within a specific period of time, the clerk to Parliament has been served, duly served, he has to act on that because there's no other service other than the decision of the High Court to the clerk of Parliament.
Thank you so much for speaking. So that's the Member of Parliament for Ashaman, Ernest Henry Nogbe, also sharing perspectives on the happenings on the floor of Parliament today, where the Minority Caucus has been clad in black attire in protest against the decision by the House to declare the Pandai seat vacant following an order by the Tamale High Court for a rerun of the 2024 Pandai parliamentary election. Throughout the day, we haven't seen any major business activity take place because the minority has been opposing every attempt by the majority leader, Mahama Yariga, to react to an official statement they made demanding the immediate reversal of the letter to the EC for the declaring the Pandai seat vacant. Attempts have been made by the Speaker, by the First Deputy Speaker, Bernard Ahinyafo, who began proceedings with the House today, but had to suspend and then return later. However, he also could not maintain that particular order amongst the Minority Caucus. So we had the Speaker himself, Alban Bagman, also appear in the House to chair proceedings to ensure that there is calm and order amongst the Minority Caucus. The Speaker decided that the Majority Leader, Mahama Yaga, should be given an opportunity to make a comment on this particular statement or demand made by the Minority Caucus, demanding the immediate withdrawal of the letter to the EC for the declaration of the Pandai seat vacant. So that is what has been happening on the floor of Parliament throughout Tuesday when the House commenced proceedings. We are expecting that as the Speaker is engaging the leadership on both sides of the House in a conclave meeting, a resolution would be made to ensure that we have a lasting peace for parliamentary business to take place. Back to you in the studio, Nana.
All right, thank you very much, Nia Ikwe Okai, our parliamentary correspondent, engaging some more members of parliament. And from what we've heard now, there's a twist to it. It looks like it's not just Pandai that's the issue.
So that's Ni Ayukwe Okain engaging with two members of parliament in the House of Parliament. First, he spoke to Ofuasi Ayerebe, member of parliament, the Honorable Kojo Ponkroma, and then later he spoke to the member of parliament for Ashaiman, Ernest Nogbe. Well, their views are as divided as the House has been the whole day today on the situation with Pandai. Recall that yesterday the clerk announced or wrote a letter to the chairperson of the EC announcing that the Pandai seat had become vacant. Today, the minority led by its chief whip, the Honorable Frank Arnold Dompre, made a submission before the House asking that particular letter be withdrawn. Let's hear that statement that was first made by Frank Arnold Dompre, which then led to that standoff in the House Parliament. Fafa, give us that story.
Well, the minority in Parliament is demanding the immediate withdrawal of the Speaker's letter to the Electoral Commission notifying the Commission of a vacancy in the Pandai parliamentary seat. Now speaking on the floor of Parliament, the Member of Parliament for Nsawa Maduedri, Frank Anodompre, says the letter issued by the clerk to Parliament on behalf of the Speaker was unfortunate and inconsistent with both the law and established norms of procedural justice.
Speaker, yesterday, the 8th of December 2025, you declared the Pandai parliamentary seat vacant. Respectfully, this decision has generated profound concern not only among members of this House, but across the nation because of its apparent inconsistency with the binding procedural rules governing the effect of application for stay of execution. Speaker, it is now threats that where an application for stay of execution is pending for determination, any proceeding for execution of the judgment shall be stayed for the period. The Speaker, this is why the event of 24th November 2025 are so important. On that day, you delivered a ruling in response to an application from the Majority Chief Whip, requesting that the Pandai seat be declared vacant. Speaker, in your own reasoning, you recorded clearly and publicly relying on these very procedural rules and affirmed this binding nature. This same inconsistency was seen in the Honorable James Kwaji matter during the 8th Parliament, where you strongly maintain that Parliament must not act while a stay of application is pending. Speaker, with respect, the question that naturally arises is, why has the principle changed? What explains the abrupt departure from the binding reasoning you articulated on 24th November 2025? Why does the stay rule apply in one circumstance, but not the other, particularly when the factual and procedural posture is virtually identical? Speaker, Ghanaians are asking, and we in this House must also ask, is this because Honorable Matthew Nyendam is a member of the New Patriotic Party? The Speaker, the law does not discriminate. The law does not bind or stiffen binding on whether an NPP or NDC member stands before it. The impartial and consistent application of procedural rules is a bedrock of the rule of law and the credibility of this House. If Parliament begins to act as though legal rules are optional, binding on some days and dispensable on other days, then we risk sliding into a dangerous culture of political tit for tat, where each majority and minority merely waits for a turn to get even. Speaker, such a path fractures confidence in this institution and threatens the stability of our democratic order. Mr. Speaker, today it may appear expedient for one side. Tomorrow, the rules may reverse. If we abandon principle today, we leave the future Parliament with a trail of inconsistency that invites retaliation, weakens the authority of Speaker's chair, and erodes public trust. Mr. Speaker, we must do better. And this House must do better, and we must act better. Let us commit ourselves to principle leadership, to procedural fidelity, and to the understanding that this House is a guardian, not a manipulator of the law. Legitimacy of Parliament depends on our consistency. The legitimacy of Parliament depends on our consistency, and we can't do otherwise. And consistency depends on our willingness to obey, not our political impulses, but the clear dictates of the law. Speaker, we strongly submit that the letter that was filed to the Electoral Commission was out of place, was unfortunate, and flies in the face of law and procedural justice. We submit strongly to this House that that letter must be withdrawn by Parliament forthwith And we must act and stay consistent with the pronouncements of the chair, for that matter, the speaker on this same matter. We in the minority do not agree to the writing of this letter. We make a strong position that that letter must be withdrawn forthwith. And as a cradle of democracy, we must be seen to be setting a very good example for the populace of this country to follow so. Speaker, I submit to you that that letter must be recalled. That letter declaring the Pandai seat vacant must be recalled immediately. It must be recalled immediately. It cannot be. It cannot be. The situation cannot. And we on this house, on this side of the house, cannot support that decision. Ghana is a fledgling democracy, and the least we can do is to support procedure, is to support the provisions of our law, and to stay away from decisions that flies in the face of logic and procedural justice. We are totally against it. In this house, we have worked in collaboration and in cooperation with our colleagues in the majority. Even where you don't have your numbers, we have allowed you to lay papers and do all manner of things. This decision will not stay. This decision will not stay. And Speaker, we humbly call upon you to instruct the clerk. The clerk must be instructed forthwith to withdraw that letter and act according to law.
That's the Member of Parliament from Nsawam Adwejiri. He is the NPP Minority Chief Whip, speaking in the House of Parliament. Frank Anodom press his name. After this, the Honourable Mama Yerga, the leader of government business and majority leader MP for Boko Central, attempted to make comments or respond to this, but the minority would not hear him. They disrupted every word of his. The House was suspended. After what seemed like hours, they returned. Now with Speaker Bagbin in the chair, he could still not have order in the House. He suspended about 10 minutes past 5 p.m. He said he was going to go away for 5 minutes and return. He's yet to return. Now, while all of this was happening in the chamber, outside the chamber, the party to which the minority group belongs, the NPP, called a press conference. Its national organizer, Henry Nana Boachi, also spoke about the position of the party on what was happening in Pandai. Listen.
The New Patriotic Party stands as one solid rock behind the Member of Parliament for Pandai, Honorable Martin Nyindam. His fight is our fight. His cause is our cause. And his cause will be the cause of every New Patriotic Party member. With the full authority, resources, and total backing of the entire MPP, Honorable Nyindam has taken the following immediate and formidable legal actions. 1. First, he has filed a seal of execution against the orders of this bogus judgment, halting any illegitimate rerun in its tracks. Number 2, he has filed a powerful notice of appeal to the Court of Appeal, respectfully praying to the total overturn of this legal travesty. And third, recognizing the grave constitutional injury inflicted, he has initiated an application of certiorari at the Supreme Court, respectfully calling on the highest court of the land to quash this perverse judgment and restore constitutional order. We are deploying the full force of our legal arsenal within the framework of our law. Our weapons are the Constitution, precedents, and an unshakable commitment to justice. To the resilient people of Pandai, Honorable Martin Nyindam and your people, we send this message directly to you. We see you clearly expressed will, written in the indelible ink of 3,732 votes. We hear your sovereign voice, which this judgment tried to silence. Do not lose heart. The New Patriotic Party has not abandoned you. we have not retreated. We are with you completely and unfadingly. We will walk every step of this legal journey with you. We will fight in every court at every hour, with every resource at our command, to defend the mandate of the mandate you freely gave. Your victory was legitimate. Your choice was just. And we will not rest until the choice is vindicated and your rightful member of parliament restored. This is our sacred pledge. Now, there's a sinister and a calculated agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, this catastrophic judgment did not happen in isolation. It is part of a deliberate pattern. It is a thread in a sinister, calculated agenda by the NDC and President Mahama to use captured state institutions to silence the opposition, suppress dissenting views, and hold Ghana's democracy hostage. Look at the fact. Since assuming power, the NDC has waged relentless assault on democratic norms. The unlawful removal of the Chief Justice. In Ablekumanov, we witnessed the criminal annexation of our seat, a daylight robbery, state-sponsored thuggery, marred the partial rerun. Our stalwart, including Honorable Hawa Kumsin and the Deputy National Organizer, Chris Lloyd, they were harassed. The perpetrators received a mere court fine. We chose peace and stability and did not escalate. In Akwatia, votes were bought openly, shamelessly, and systematically. And let us never forget the vice chairman of the NDC, Sofu Avoka, and that of an NDC communicator, their chilling threat to eliminate the minority leader, my good self, and Honorable Anodompre. A reckless incitement still unanswered for in our courts. And this assault is not confined to our courtroom. We will see it now in even in the House of Parliament, that is a chamber, the People's House. We see the machinations to harass and intimidate members of the New Patriotic Party, to suppress their voices through a dishonest and autocratic misuse of rules of procedure, a clear breach of both the spirit and letter of the Constitution of Ghana. We know they have made our courageous minority leader and some party stalwarts their target, seeking to silence the most powerful voices in the New Patriotic Party that holds government to account. But let this warning echo through the corridors of Parliament, that we in the New Patriotic Party will not allow their evil plot to succeed in any way. We will have our say in that house. We will oppose their fraud, their corruption, their abuse of power, and with relentless clarity. We will use every legitimate tool within parliamentary practice to ensure that the voice of the people, as represented by their elected members, is never stifled by the tenery of the majority. Attempting to mute the minority is an attack on democracy itself, and we shall resist it outrightly. But the NDC must never mistake our commitment to peace for weakness. They must never confuse our restraint for surrender. Now, they bring their outrageous Pandai judgment. Now they threatened a showdown. Now they have the audacity to argue our lawfully elected candidate should not sit in parliament. This is not democracy. This is dictatorship. masquerading as law.
So that's Henry Nana Boachi, his national organizer of the New Patriotic Party. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Let me bring some of your messages. Okay, so Al-Hassan Hamdan from Nyoini South says the court has spoken and nothing can overturn it. The MPP can cry as much as they want. Even if they cry blood, there will be a by-election in Pandai. They should stop wasting their time, go to Pandai and start campaigning. Papa Bisu says, question is, when has Kojo Ponkruma, I'm not sure I can read this particular one that you are sending. Let me go to Akate Raymond from Agoti Mekbeto, and he says, when frustration penetrates the vein of minority, they are bound to do what places their... okay, I'm not sure that also makes... Okay, it's incomplete. Akapol Jr. says, the NPP must fight this in court, but not in the legislative house. They must present their case for justice to be served on the incumbent for what the judge did was unfair. John Saduboy says, good evening. The mini-micro minority has no authority to order for the withdrawal of any letter. The law is the law. Go to court if you can. The minority in parliament should go to the Kwandai constituency and start campaigning for their candidates rather than shouting on the floor of parliament. That's a message from brilliant Fahad Ibn Okujetu in Central Town. This one says, I strongly oppose the minority's refusal to acknowledge the majority leader's view, as open dialogue is essential for democracy. The clerk should maintain the court's declaration of the Kwandai parliamentary seat as vacant, emphasizing the need for stability and representation for the constituents. That's Mausia Ibe Star. This one from Akasokri Joseph. He says, in fact, we in the NDC like the way Afenyo Markin is leading his party in parliament. He should continue like this. He shouldn't change. Go to court was the anthem of the MPP a few months ago. All of a sudden, the courts are a no-go area for these same people. The law of karma is working. The hot pepper that was put in the nostrils of Honorable Jachi Kwesin by MPP is being inhaled by Honorable Matthew Nyindam. The minority can have their say. That's from Abua Dongo Akolugo Zorko Kanga. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi. Let's go back to Parliament. The Honorable Muhammad Yarga, after the House resumed, appears to have been allowed now to speak. Let's hear what he's saying.
The Minority Chief Whip made a statement. He demanded that the clerk be made to withdraw the letter he has written to the Electoral Commission. Mr. Speaker, I was not in the chamber at the time that the statement was made by the Minority Chief Whip. I came in and I saw that the Majority Chief Whip was on his feet and the members of the minority were on their feet behaving the very way that they are behaving now. And so I then urged the minority to allow for comments to be made, but they persisted behaving the way that they are behaving right now. Mr. Speaker, they continued behaving this way until the First Deputy Speaker, who was presiding, decided to get up on his feet to try and then bring order in the House. Mr. Speaker, he stood for a very long time and they did not. They continued conducting themselves in the manner that they are conducting themselves now. And so the First Deputy Speaker took a short suspension and invited the leadership to conclave. When we went into conclave, the minority leadership refused to show up. They refused to show up, and subsequently Honorable Habib came and said he had been mandated by the leadership to represent them in conclave. So in conclave, we tried to discuss the situation and to find out exactly what the problem was. It turned out, Mr. Speaker, that they said on the 4th, on Thursday, 27th of November, 2025, you had given a ruling regarding the rerun of the Kwandai parliamentary elections. And in your ruling, according to them, you had indicated that if the member for Kwandai exercised his rights to appeal, then that exercise of the right to appeal against the High Court decision will act as a stay on the execution of the orders or the judgment of the court. So the member for Kwandai had gone to file an appeal and had also filed an application for stay. And so, according to them, having acted on your indications in the chamber, they felt that the decision to allow the clerk to write to the chairperson of the Electoral Commission was not in good faith, and that was the basis of their objection. I listened to them, and so I called for the records, and I was given the Hansard, which captures exactly what you said on Thursday, 27th of November 2025. And Mr. Speaker, I want to read excerpts of your ruling and where they are basing their claims on, and then my responses to them. Mr. Speaker, you indicated on that day that, honorable members, on Tuesday, 25th November 2025, the Legal Services Office of the House was served with an order from the Tamale High Court directed at the clerk to Parliament. Per the order, the court had ordered the second respondent, that is the Electoral Commission, to rerun the Kwandai parliamentary election within 30 days. Honorable members, this order arises out of the election petition filed by Daniel Nsal Wakwal, challenging the declaration of the Electoral Commission of Matthew Yindam as Member of Parliament elect for the Kwandai constituency pursuant to the Kwandai parliamentary elections held on 7 December 2025. Honourable members, the effect of the order, to my understanding, is that the Electoral Commission is to conduct a rerun election within 30 days, implying that the original declaration of Honourable Matthew Yindam as the winner of the parliamentary election is invalid, and the member is no longer a member of Parliament. I, however, bring to the attention of the House the provisions of the Court of Appeal Rules 1997 CI 19 as amended in the Court of Appeal Rules of 2020 CI 132 Rule 27.3, and it provides as follows, and I quote, "There shall be a stay of execution of the judgment or decision appealed against for a period of 7 days immediately following the giving of notice of the judgment or decision." This rule appears mandatory in 8 terms and applies in every High Court decision capable of appeal. The Supreme Court in Mensa and Ghana Commercial Bank 2005 to 2006, Supreme Court of Ghana Law Reports on page 288 held that any execution commenced before the expiry of this 7-day period is premature and void. The Court of Appeal reaffirmed this position in Glenham Construction Limited and Falcon Crest Investment Limited and others, 7 April 2022, emphasizing that the purpose of the statutory stay is to allow the losing party the opportunity to consider the judgment and determine whether to appeal or seek further relief. Justice Bar J.A. explained the position of the law thus, and I quote him: the plain meaning, scope, and effect of Rule 27(3)(b) of CI 19 is that in respect of any ruling, judgment, or decision of the High Court of whatever description, in respect of which an appeal can be filed, and further, in respect of which an application for a stay of execution or proceedings could be filed, there shall operate a statutory stay of execution or proceedings for a period of 7 days. The apparent intent of the law is to enable the vanquished to ponder over and scrutinize the bona fides of the ruling, decision, or judgment in order to decide on whether or not to appeal. It is when a decision is made to appeal that an application can be made to the High Court under Rule 27(1)(a) of CI 19 or to this court under Rule 27(1)(b) of CI 19. Unquote. In this instance, the ruling of the Tamale High Court was delivered on 24th November 2025. The statutory 7-day stay, therefore, remains in force until 1st December 2025. During this period, the ruling of the High Court cannot form the basis for the Speaker to instruct the Clerk to Parliament to notify the Electoral Commission that the Pandai seat is vacant. Mr. Speaker, you then added, in addition to the above, should Mr. Yindam exercise his right of appeal, such as an application under Rule 27(1)(b) of CI 19, it may impose a further suspension on the enforcement of the judgment until the application is determined by the appropriate court. This rule appears to prevent the subject matter of the appeal from being altered or prejudiced while the appeal processes are pending. Therefore, before the initial 7-day statutory stay, the filing of a stay application may yet introduce an additional layer that may prevent changes to the status of the honorable member within the meaning of Article 97 and 99 of the Constitution. The attention of the House is also brought to Article 105 of the 1992 Constitution, which provides that a person who sits or votes in Parliament knowing or having reasonable grounds for knowing that he is not entitled to do so commits an offense. It is crucial to emphasize that Article 105 is penal in nature. Should the honorable member know that he ought not to be in the chamber and he participates in the activities in the chamber. Honorable members, it is therefore premature to say that Mr. Matuyindam is disqualified from entering and participating in the proceedings of the House, because this period still falls within the 7-day mandatory stay of execution of the order. Honourable members, this is not a declaratory order. It is an executive order that was delivered by the High Court. And so the honourable member is right to have been in the House yesterday and to have participated in the proceedings. So, Speaker, so this is what you delivered, and the minority are basing their arguments on the part of your ruling where you said, and I quote, "In addition to the above, should Mr. Yindam exercise his right of appeal, such as an application under Rule 27(1)(b) of CI 19, it may impose a further suspension on the enforcement of the judgment until the application is determined by the appropriate court. This rule appears to prevent the subject matter of the appeal from being altered or prejudiced while the appeal processes are pending." So, Mr. Speaker, their argument is that you appear to have given a ruling that the member is entitled to stay as a member of this House, and also that if the member did file any process in the courts, by virtue of having filed the process, then the member's right to remain is further fortified until the matters are disposed of by the court where the application for stay of execution or even the appeal has been lodged. So I called for CI 19 and CI as amended by CI 132. Mr. Speaker, and I read CI 132(1) to them. And CI 132 says that the Court of Appeal Rules 1997, CI 19, referred to in this enactment as the principal enactment, is amended in Rule 27 by the substitution for Sub-Rule 1 of, quote, 1. An appeal shall not operate as a stay of execution under the judgment or decision appealed against unless the court otherwise orders on an application made to the court by motion on notice, unquote. Mr. Speaker, I referred my friends on the other side to this provision of CI 132 and tried to indicate to them that filing an appeal or even filing a motion on notice will not automatically serve as a stay of the execution of an order of a court. And so, in the absence of a substantive order by the court, the clerk was not stopped from communicating to the chairperson of the Electoral Commission under the Constitution, because the chairperson is also obliged under the Constitution to communicate within a certain time period. So, Mr. Speaker, I then urge on our colleagues on the other side that we should come back to the chamber and they can restate their position, and I will also state this position as I have stated it. And on the basis of our positions, then we can invite you as Speaker to come and then give a ruling whether it was appropriate or in keeping with the law for the Clerk of Parliament to write the letter that he wrote to the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, which I have already read to the chamber. Mr. Speaker, I think that it will be appropriate to read Article 112 of the Constitution so that we can see what informed the action of the Clerk of Parliament, to see whether the Clerk of Parliament is in error or also acting pursuant to a constitutional obligation. So, Mr. Speaker, with your indulgence, let me read Article 1125 of the Constitution. 1125 of the Constitution says that whenever a vacancy occurs in Parliament, the Clerk to Parliament shall notify the Electoral Commission in writing within 7 days after the vacancy occurred, and a by-election shall be held within 30 days after the vacancy occurs. Notwithstanding clause 5 of this article, a by-election shall not be held within 3 months before the holding of a general election. So, Mr. Speaker, clearly the Constitution injuncts the Clerk of Parliament whenever a vacancy occurs in Parliament. The Clerk to Parliament shall notify the Electoral Commission in writing within 7 days after the vacancy occurred, and a by-election shall be held within 30 days after the vacancy occurred. So, Mr. Speaker, so if we take the records, we notice that on 27th November 2025, 24th November 2025, you had indicated in your ruling that the statutory 7 days stay, therefore, remains in force until 1st December 2025. So once the statutory 7 days was enforced till 1st December 2025, it means that the obligation of the Clerk of Parliament will start counting on the 1st of December 2025. So within 7 days of December, the Clerk was obliged constitutionally, pursuant to Article 1125, to notify the Clerk. So on the 4th of December, the Clerk wrote to the Electoral Commission indicating that there was a vacancy because the Clerk had been sent by the order emanating from the High Court indicating that the court had ruled that there should be a rerun of the election in the Pandai constituency. So, Mr. Speaker, I think that what you are being invited to rule on here today is whether the clerk erred in communicating to the Electoral Commission that a vacancy has occurred, and once a vacancy has occurred, that there should be a by-election in the Pandai constituency. Mr. Speaker, especially your indication in your ruling that filing an appeal may elongate the period during which the member may be allowed to remain in the chamber. So, Mr. Speaker, that is basically what it is. That's all. Nothing really earth-shattering. And since morning, we've been having indications, negotiations, discussions, and we said that we should come into the chamber, and since they have indicated their position, we should also indicate our position. Now, in a normal democracy, with normal Democrats, people who actually believe in democracy, you would imagine that they will have no issue with us having this discussion in open parliament. But, Mr. Speaker, I'm not surprised that we have this character of parliamentarians representing the minority side, and they are insisting that they don't want the discussions held in open parliament, that we should not be transparent about our argument. that this side of the House should not be heard on this matter. And I have said it's not possible. No matter how much you chant, no matter how much noise you make, in fact, even if you come and stand on my seat here, I will still state my position so that the Speaker can give his ruling. So, Mr. Speaker, the issue before you is not to challenge your ruling. It is not to challenge your ruling, because your ruling was not even about what happens when one files an appeal. Your ruling was whether or not within the 7 days you could be called upon to remove the Member of Parliament from the chamber. If you recall, that was the main issue. And you ruled accordingly that by our CI 19, there is an automatic stay for 7 days. And so within that 7 days, the judgment could not be executed. The member will have a right to be in the chamber. But after the 7 days, then execution will be triggered automatically. So that ruling you gave, but then you engage in a general discussion of, some legal matters, and then you said that, if he triggers his appeal rights, it may. I think that the contention is around your use of the word may, and having used the word may, their position is that once he had filed his appeal and filed his motion or notice trying to secure an interim injunction, then we should not have allowed the clerk to write the letter to the Electoral Commission. But my contention is that that was not the gravamen of your ruling. The gravamen of your ruling was basically to decide that on that day the honourable member should stay in the chamber or not. And you did rule that he could stay in the chamber. Now, the issue of whether or not when he files an appeal and when he files a motion or notice for interim injunction, whether that serves as an injunction is a completely different matter. And I drew attention to CI 132, which amended CI 19, and which in its terms is very clear that once judgment is given, when you file an appeal or a motion or notice for stay of execution, it does not automatically stay proceedings in the execution of that judgment. So, Mr. Speaker, this is what you are being called upon to decide, and unfortunately, I am surprised that our friends on the other side will not want this fact to be stated so that Ghanaians will know why they are in black. Ghanaians will know why they are wearing face masks. They don't want Ghanaians to identify them individually. They are wearing face masks. They are wearing face masks. They don't want Ghanaians to identify them. If you are ashamed of what you are doing, remove your face mask. If you are ashamed of what you are doing, then don't do it. If you have the courage to do them, don't wear face masks to do them. I'm not wearing a face mask. I am very confident. And I can assure you that I will not be distracted. You can say anything about Boku, I will not respond to you. You can say anything, I will not mind you. I will remain focused. I will let the Ghanaians know that you are only pretending to be Democrats. You are not Democrats. Because if you are Democrats, you will allow Ghanaians to hear what is it that you are fighting. But you don't want Ghanaians to hear the facts, because you know that the facts are not on your side. You are fighting for justice, but you don't want Ghanaians to know the facts on the basis that you are fighting for justice. How will the Speaker rule if the Speaker has not heard all sides of this matter. The Speaker cannot rule. That is why since morning, my side has insisted that we will speak to the facts so that the Speaker can rule on the matter. And I am insisting that we will not allow this matter to be treated in secrecy. It must be treated in the full glare of the media. I want them to capture the facts based on which you are mounting your protest, so that Ghanaians will be the judges as to who actually is right in this matter. So, Mr. Speaker, basically, those are the facts. And I hear them talking about Boku. I will restrain myself today because His Royal Majesty, the Otumfuo, has indicated that he will bring the report on Boku on the 17th to present to His Excellency the President. When he presents his report to His Excellency the President, we will see where the matter will end. Mr. Speaker, on that note, I thank you very much.
97.3 Citi FM. This is Eyewitness News. So the noise you are hearing in the background is from NPP members of Parliament chanting, disrupting the submission of Mahama Yariga, the majority leader. It has been ongoing all day. Now the majority leader has had to speak through the disruption and the heckling from the minority members who have been up singing and chanting. He has made a submission. Let's hear what the Speaker would now say in relation to a decision. I must say, though, for those who are not having access to television, the minority MPs are wearing black and they're also wearing face masks or nose masks while chanting and singing and banging on their desks or tables. So that's the noise you're hearing in the background. The majority leader has made his submission. The Speaker of Parliament is on his feet. He has risen up. Now, typically in parliamentary procedure and practice, when the Speaker rises, as not to walk out of the chamber, but just rises and surveys the chamber, the expectation is everybody should be quiet and attend to the Speaker. But the chanting and the noise making continues regardless, unabated. Let's hear the Speaker.
Honorable members, I believe the office of the official. Honorable members, I will have to, in the circumstances that we are in today, have access to what has been captured by the official reports, and I will come to the House to give a ruling in this matter. Honorable members, in the circumstances, I will want to urge the House to await my ruling and to allow us to proceed with the business of the House.
No way, 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 no way,
I'm reliably informed that this was an urgent statement that was made by the minority chief whip. And so I think this matter would have come under item Item 8. And being an urgent statement of public concern, the First Deputy Speaker granted leave after the indulgence of the House. And so the rules were properly applied. It means after item 8, subject to the convenience of the House, I want us to take item 9, which is at the commencement of public business. Item 9, presentation of papers. Yes. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, item 9A is request for tax waivers to be laid by the Minister for Finance. Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Finance is not immediately available, and so I want to crave your indulgence for his deputy who is here, to lay item 9A.
Yes, minority. Honorable members, I thought I saw, honorable members, Minority Chief Whip was on his feet, so I have to listen to him. Yes, Minority Chief Whip.
Speaker. You can get up, 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 get up. You can get up. You can get up. Don't let me speak.
Yes, Minority Chief Whip.
Speaker, Speaker, my colleagues should bear me out. All the occasions that it matter, we had cooperated. If you're a man, speaking to the microphone, and we'll reply you. So, you can say whatever you want to say. No, but let me make it very, you cannot scare me. You cannot scare me. Whatever I want to say, I'll say it. If you want to speak, rise up and catch the eye of the speaker. You cannot scare me. You can't. What can you do? Speaker, I'm saying that to the extent that since we started the consideration of the estimate, largely we have cooperated with our colleagues. Even where ministers are absent, where committee chairs are absent, we have cooperated and staged the needed compromise. Speaker, we've had enough for the day. And hence, we will call for an adjournment, a due and adjournment, and a deserving one, of course. We are calling for an adjournment because well, for the records, we want to make it very clear to you that you cannot scare anybody here. Now, until Pandai is resolved, government business will suffer. Get away. Get it clear. Get it clear. Until Pandai, I put it to you that until Pandai is resolved, government business is going to suffer. And from henceforth, You keep telling us you have 189, 185, and then 4 independent members. Go and marshal your numbers and come and do your business. Until Panda is resolved, we on this side will not cooperate. We are saying it again, we will not cooperate with you. And nobody is going anywhere. Well, we are not moving. We are not going anywhere. And so, Speaker, we have made that point, and we will continue to make this point. We are not obstructing government business. Now, we believe that governance is a continuum, and we must continue with government business. However, to the extent that you want to twist our hands, to the extent that you have conspired to twist our hands, I put it to you that government business will suffer. So, Mr. Speaker, we are not doing any business. We are not going to cooperate with you until Panda is resolved. And we are telling you this, Chief, we'll get it. Government business will suffer, and you are going to suffer. And if you think we are going to go home, nobody is stepping out of this chamber. Nobody is moving out. So, Speaker, we have had enough for the day. We must deservedly adjourn. And then when we come tomorrow, we'll consider whether we'll do business with you or not.
Honorable members, I put the question. Those in favor of adjournment, say aye. Those against adjournment, say no. Honorable members, the noes have it. So, yes, Deputy Minority Whip.
Mr. Speaker, I rise under Order 1513. Mr. Speaker, I rise under 1513. Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I read Standing Order 1513. Mr. Speaker, Standing Order 151. Mr. Speaker, Standing Order 151(3) states that a member may challenge the decision of the Speaker on the voice vote, and the Speaker shall determine whether to call for a head count or electronic vote. Mr. Speaker, in this case, we call for a head count.
Honorable Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sure my colleague, Honorable Habib, is aware of the provisions of Order 154. Order 154 says that you cannot unnecessarily claim division. Mr. Speaker, you cannot unnecessarily claim for division. Mr. Speaker, I have in my presentation to you been fair to both sides. I have really, in fact, made their case better than they could have made it themselves. So I'm sure Ghanaians know the basis of their protest. And I'm not running away from the basis of your protest. I don't easily run away. Mr. Speaker, the issue is that we have been prevented from conducting business the whole day as a result of the protest that they mounted. And we indulge them. We engaged them. I presided over a meeting that lasted several hours trying to find an amicable way out of it. Because of that, we have not been able to touch any of the items under government business. And so I urge you, Mr. Speaker, that we proceed to deal with the items. Mr. Speaker, that is my
Honourable members, it is clear that the Deputy Minority Whip has challenged my decision on the voice vote. What is now left is for me to determine whether to call for head count or electronic vote. That decision lies in my bosom, and I'll exercise it in favor of us continuing with the business, because I believe that the voice vote was very clear, and there was nothing wrong with my decision, and therefore we'll proceed with the business of the House. Honourable members, item 9. By the Minister for Finance.
Request for the waiver of import duties, import national health insurance levy, special import levy, value-added tax, get fund levy, ECOWAS levy, AU levy, and SM levy on the importation of vehicles with engine capacities of up to 2.70 cc for foreign service officers returning from imposting at Ghana mission abroad.
Honourable members, the requests for the waiver of the duties, taxes, and levies are accordingly referred to the Committee on Finance for consideration and report to the House. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the item 9B is brought to this House by the Minister for Foreign Affairs. Mr. Speaker, the Deputy. Mr. Speaker, the Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs is in the chamber, so I want to crave your indulgence for the Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs to lay item number 9B.
Honourable members, item 9B by the Minister for Foreign Affairs.
Agreement under United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biological diversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction.
He's not the minister.
Honourable members, the said agreement has been accordingly presented to the House and is referred to the Committee on Foreign Affairs for consideration and report to the House. Yes, Majority Leader.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, Item number 9C is by the Minister for Energy.
Vowed not to cooperate with the majority side insofar as the Pandai seat remains vacant based on the letter that was written by the clerk to the Electoral Commission chairperson. So the Speaker said he will make a ruling on this later on. The House is supposed to continue, well, has continued to sit despite opposition from the minority side for an adjournment. Unfortunately, this is all that time will allow us to bring you. We were not able to bring you our other stories that we had advertised, including business news. But we'll take leave of you at this stage, and then our regular programming would continue. If there's a need to return to the House of Parliament, we will do so. But for now, have a good night.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on